I've tried going all digital and I've also tried going all paper, and I'm going to let you know that the best system is actually a hybrid of both. So in this video, I'm going to share with you when to use paper, when to use digital, and when to maybe use a combination of both so that you can create a workflow that helps you be more productive. No more overthinking it, no more unused notebooks, no more downloading random apps that you never look back at. The biggest mistake that I made was thinking I had to choose between digital or paper. Nothing is black and white. You don't have to pick a side. You just need a few rules that help you decide when to use paper and when to use digital. I have a 2-question system. I'll ask myself these 2 questions to decide whether I'm going to use paper or digital. Question number 1, does this task require complex problem solving or brainstorming? If yes, use paper. Question number 2, will I need this note in the future or when I'm out? If yes, use digital. Let's give some examples of when I will use paper. I use paper when I really want to slow down and reflect and brainstorm and problem solve. Or simply when I just want to reduce my screen time because my work is all online and we're just constantly glued to the screen. A few places that are no phone areas is my bedroom and my bathroom. And I've created a system to use paper in these areas. For example, because I also want to avoid using my phone an hour or 2 before I go to bed, I do have a gratefulness practice in my bedroom, and I will write on these little pieces of paper what I'm grateful for that day, fold it up, and throw it in a little box. And I will revisit these every 6 months just to review them, and it's one of my favorite traditions. I will also leave notepads around my room and in my bathroom, so if I have any thoughts that come up during these moments, I don't want to have to run out and grab my phone. I want to be able to write them down in the moment, and then if I feel like this is something that needs to be transferred digitally, then I can do that another time. Now, I know I say paper, but I do use a digital notepad just so that I can just press a button to clear it and write again. You obviously don't need to use this, but I will put the link below for you if you're interested in using that as well. I also have a dreams notebook that I put beside my bed. And whenever I have dreams and I wake up, I will try to write as much as I can. And it's just a fun way to remember your dreams, and reading back on them is always really interesting. Sometimes if I have any insights that come out from my dreams, I might create a digital note for it just to have it more permanent. But otherwise, it's just a way for me to brain dump my dreams as a little fun hobby. Now, my Apple Watch has been really helpful for me to move some things more digitally, like having my reminders app on my watch. And referring to that list any time of the day has been helpful, but I still will use paper occasionally for my daily important task and my weekly setup. So what I mean by that is I will, in the beginning of the day, sometimes just write down the things I need to do on a piece of paper and have it in front of me or on my table so that I can cross things out. And that can be really helpful if you're just planning out for the specific day. And when you're done with the day, you can just throw that piece of paper away. I also like to sometimes create a weekly overview. And although I use my calendar app and all the appointments and everything are in there, when it's on my calendar, I don't really remember what's in the next 7 days unless I intentionally look at it. But I find that in the beginning of the week, if I spend some time to just write down what's happening that week, it gives me more intention to think about, okay, what is realistic to be able to get done on my to-do list item based on my calendar? And it helps me plan out my week in a way that's more intentional. I don't do this all the time, but in weeks where I'm starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed and all over the place, I will review my week. And sometimes as a result, I might even cancel something, realizing that I've overstepped my schedule. Because sometimes when you are using things digitally and just adding things to your calendar and you're like, yep, I'm free that day. Yep, I'm free that day. And then weeks go by and you're like, oh my gosh, I have something every single day. And I didn't really reflect on my capacity when I was saying yes to all these events. Especially if you don't really use an Apple Watch and you're using your phone for all your to-do list items, I find that there's so many moments where I was going to go on my phone for something, and then I go on and then I start doom scrolling on different apps or just doing something else. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait a second, why was I on my phone again? And so there is a huge distraction level when it comes to constantly going on your phone because apps are there to make you addicted to them. So we got to really be mindful of, why did I go on my phone and did I do the task I was going to do? And sometimes it might be helpful to set a timer to remind yourself that, like, this is the task you're doing, let's focus and leave. I'm just going to share one of my favorite productivity tools that I've purchased. And it's simply this timer with a bunch of times that you can set. So you just literally like turn it and it's going to set to the amount. So if you want to set a task for 3 minutes, set a task for 25 minutes, it's easy to use. And I like this because sometimes I just don't want to set a timer on my phone. There's something different about it. I'm just way more productive knowing that there's this like countdown that I can look at rather than just setting this timer and then have to look at my phone and watch. I do use this timer even though I have a timer available any of my Apple products. If you're interested, I will also link that in the description below. Moving on to when I use digital. Digital is anything that I need to reference later or need access on the go. These are going to be things like my calendar, my tasks, my reminders, my contacts, birthdays, names, templates that I'll reuse, my grocery list, my buy list. I'll also scan any documents or business cards onto my Apple Notes because I'm just a type of person that loses paper. So I need a digital copy of them. Basically, anything I need to find later, I will store a digital copy of it. And finally, there is sometimes in situations where a combination of both is really helpful. Sometimes I'll start with a paper draft, and when it's all good, I'll move it digital. Sometimes I'll start with something digital and then move it to paper. So here are some examples from paper to digital. I personally like to write down my goals on paper. I find this process more helpful, and I like to have a paper copy of my goals, which I put into like this little thing where I write all of my goals and everything in here. And so my reflection points, my quarterly reflections, my yearly reflections, and goals all live in this paper notebook that I have. And then I will create a digital version that would be helpful for me. I reflect my goals and have my goals all solidified on this piece of paper. And then as a result, I will create some digital vision boards that I'll throw on my phone, I'll throw on my desktop wallpaper just for me to remind myself of all the things. Some things that I will start digital and go to paper is I take photos, obviously, on my phone. I do have a digital camera, and then I will print them out onto a paper to display my favorite memories and to remind me of all the things that have happened in the month and in the year. Pretty rare for us to look back to all the photos and videos that we had. I like to choose my favorite ones and stick them on my wall. I also have a dopamine list that I created of all the things that make me feel good. I started with a digital version of it, and then I printed it out and framed it on a piece of paper for me to remind myself of all the things that I want to do that make me feel good. So those are just some examples of how I kind of go between digital and paper. It's not a fixed system. You have to find a system that works best for you, and maybe for you it is all digital, or maybe for you it is all paper. But from my personal experience, I do find that hybrid approach works best for me. If you found this content helpful, please click like and subscribe to my channel. And let me know in the comments below, what is your method and when do you use paper and when do you use digital? And I will see you in the next video. Bye!